Welcome to Wild Child Records, and in today's show, I'm Jay Stoyan. On the show today, we have musician Bruce Coughlan. Very exciting. This gentleman has been playing music for over 50 years, and he's going to be coming on today because he was part of the Big Records Legacy Tour. Very exciting. Stay tuned. You're watching Wild Child Records. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Wild Child Records. I'm Jay Stoyan. On the show today, we'd like to welcome Bruce Coughlan. Now, Bruce is a musician who was on the Legacy Tour. He's been in the business for over 50 years. He's going to tell us all about his wonderful career. Bruce, thanks for being on the show today.
Well, nice to see you, Jay.
That's great. I love your backdrop. I love the guitar. Tell us about the guitars in the backdrop. What do you have behind you there?
Well, that's a Takamine Classical that I bought new back in 1984.
Wow. How many guitars you have, Bruce?
Oh, probably a half dozen in all.
Yeah, that's great. I know. You become addicted to buying guitars. I know guitar players are
No,
just crazy.
I'm down to at this point. I'm down to a half dozen that I'm very comfortable with, and that
Nice.
have served me well over the years. So
Nice. So,
no
again, on the
need.
show today, we have Bruce Coughlan. Now, Bruce is a musician. He was on the Legacy Tour, which we're going to get into, and he's attached to a great musician platform called Big Records. So let's get right into how you met Big Records and Mark Rosner, and then we'll lead right into the tour, Bruce.
Yeah, well, Mark and I have known each other for probably about half a dozen years, and we're local to each other. We probably live about 10-minute drive from each other.
Yeah, because you're out in BC, right? Out in BC, right?
Out in BC, I'm in Maple Ridge, and I'd be out playing gigs here and there, and he'd show up with his lovely wife, and he'd tell me about these dreams he had. It's like, okay, well, that's interesting. Keep me in touch, and that he did. And one of the first Rise Up tours
Yeah.
that he put together. He couldn't get Jimmy across the border or the bus. So I get a call. This is I get a call at like 10 o'clock at night. Can you drive a 15-passenger van with a trailer to Edmonton? When? Tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Yeah, I suppose. And so that was my introduction to Rise Up.
That's showbiz for you, right? That's showbiz for you.
Yeah, well, his vision is capturing musicians under duress.
And how long ago was that, Bruce?
That was 4 years ago. We did
4 years ago.
the Western Canadian trip. We met a lot of wonderful people on that trip, and yeah, that was interesting. Sort of sat on it for about 2 years, and then I get another call. Will, would you like to do the Vancouver Island tour?
Nice.
And that's just being released.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And when was that one now?
That was it's been about a year and a half.
A year and a half. That's great.
Yeah. No, it was lovely. That's where I got to meet Tim Steinreich.
Okay. Yeah, we had Tim on the show a couple weeks ago. Really nice guy.
Super nice guy. And Sarah Smith. I met them both on that very same tour. Of course, we were both on the recent Legacy.
Now I know Tim's a BC guy too, right?
Yeah.
Is Sarah also a BC lady or no?
She is now.
She is now. Okay.
Yeah, formerly an Ontarian.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but now she lives on a beautiful island, Pender Island.
Really? So you've known Sarah and Tim for a few years now, along with Mark. That's great.
A couple years with Tim and Sarah, and of course, Tim and I have sort of grown up or come up through the same music community, so we've known of each other, and it wasn't until I just knew him as that rock and roll beardy guy.
Yeah, I
Right?
know. I love his beard. I love his beard. We talked about that when he was. I said, "Oh my god, how long did that take? Like that's a lot of work." So
Yeah.
let's fast forward now. So take us into the opening of the Legacy tour now.
Well,
How that come together?
that was that kind of came together through my fiddle player of many years, Nolan Murray,
Okay.
and we've been working together for 20 some odd years. And he was very well connected in Nashville. We signed a management contract 13 years ago in Nashville, and we're touring around the South and getting all this traction, so to speak. And it was 10 years ago, just as we were getting the interest that it had all been building up to. The industry went into a complete turmoil over
Yeah.
the new streaming. How are we going to make a living at this? And record labels weren't going to make any fast moves. They didn't know what the future looked like. So it basically just put a kibosh on that. So for a decade, I hadn't been back to Nashville.
Okay.
But I was invited on this tour and invited Nolan along because, and he just took over. He took over, he booked the gigs, he became music director, he lined up all the stuff, just worked his fanny off.
Let's talk
For
a
me.
little bit about Nashville because as a horrible musician myself, all you hear is Nashville, Nashville. It's such a music lore, the tradition, the culture, the history. Give us like a bird's eye view for people who have never been to Nashville but are musicians and like I would love to go one day. And I just like give us a vibe. What's it like there?
Well, it's an ever-changing face as well. And I think I got 10 years ago, up to 13 years ago, I got to taste some of that tradition. But since then, so many of the traditional places have shut down, and it's overtaken by the sort of
Corporate
sprawl
world.
of city.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big publishing town.
Is there
So
is there
next to
still
music.
like is there still like rows and rows where you can play, or those days are they're dwindling?
I hadn't really got a chance to do much digging around this last trip,
Yeah.
but from those people I know and have spent years there, yeah, sadly enough, a lot of those venues are just gone the way of the dodo through the whole COVID experience.
Yeah, COVID and streaming, and then why I always ask musicians, like experienced musicians like yourself, it's just like it's such a shame that musicians started giving their music away for free.
But
It's such a shame.
we didn't
Or
actually do that.
well, the
We
Napster
used
thing,
it.
right? The
Yeah,
Napster thing,
exactly,
right?
exactly. We got robbed.
Yeah, like it just changed the industry completely.
I started recording in the 19 mid 80s,
Yep.
and back then 45, two sides, two songs was a buck and a half, $2. So you're paying 75 cents to a dollar per tune, and everyone was happy. There
Yeah.
was a it we could do that, and somewhere along, 10 years ago, they just went, no, no, each copy we're going to give you a fraction of a penny.
It's terrible. Like it's how do you make a living? Like it's just it's ridiculous because
Well,
music is so important to the soul.
and
Like
and for me, I've been doing this for I've been a recording artist for 40 years. So when I look at that, it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating because for many years, the regular there was a rhythm to life.
yep.
You invest 20, 30,000 into an album. You have it all packaged up. You get your boxes, and then you take it out to your shows, and you'd sell.
That's right.
And after a couple 3 years, you'd sold 2 or 3 thousand, and you had your money back to make the next project. And while you've been touring around and doing that, you've been putting together new ideas. You go into the studio again and spend another 20 or 30,000. In beautiful
Yep.
studios with Neve consoles and producers who knew what they were doing, and musicians playing every note.
Yes.
See,
Yes.
nowadays you can get an app on your phone.
Yep.
You wanna write the next hip hop hit? You don't need any of that. You just pull it up on your phone, and it's a good thing because you can sell a gazillion copies, and you're not going to make the price of that app back.
Yeah. This is great. You know, why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break and then we come back? We're going to talk about the actual tour and your role and some memories and some moments of the tour. So stay tuned. You're watching Wild Child Records. We have on today Bruce Coughlan. He tells all about his wonderful legacy tour, his connection to big records, and his own career. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Friends, it's an absolute pleasure to send greetings as you gather for this fantastic fundraiser in support of the Disability Channel and Legion 60. Thanks to everyone involved for the important work you do for our veterans and people with disabilities. You're supporting them as they gain valuable work experience and helping build a stronger Ontario for everyone. You're all absolute champions. Your generosity is greatly appreciated, and I hope you have a fantastic event.
Welcome back. On the show today, we have musician Bruce Coughlan. Bruce is telling us all about his connection with big records, the tour. So let's get right into the tour and take us through a day-to-day operation of your role and some of the high points of the tour there, Bruce.
Well, as I said, I started off on this tour as a guest musician or a guest artist, and having brought Nolan aboard, he took over the role of music director, and he assigned me we've been working side by side for the last 20 some odd years, as I said. He just assigned me, you're part of the house band. Whoever's playing, you're on stage.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So we showed up to Nashville with 1 day rehearsal. And thank you very much to the Musicians Union. They have a lovely rehearsal hall in Nashville, and they gave us access to that.
Beautiful.
So we had a whole day to pull people who had never met each other. And that first show we did in Nashville was a live stream.
Live
So
stream.
we had to prepare 20 songs in 1 day with artists we'd never met.
So how many people were on stage during that first show, like musician-wise?
Musician-wise, during the show, mostly a 6-piece band.
6-piece band. And
Yeah.
then with the guy out front or the girl out front singing, or
whoever the featured artist was.
And you were part of that team of the 6-piece band.
Yep, I was providing rhythm guitar and backing vocals for whoever
really
needed
nice.
it. Yeah,
really nice. Yeah, and
but
I think you had
playing well with others is something that I really enjoy doing, and that I'm very adept at after 50 years. There's so many different situations where I can just sit in. I wouldn't even have to have heard the song before. Most of the time, you keep your ears open and stuff makes sense.
And tell us, it was if I'm correct, I think it was all or mostly all original tunes, was it not?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
primarily. I know there was a couple cover tunes thrown in there, but primarily it's all original, and I do all original material.
So for our viewers, I'm just trying to set it up. So the concert would start each night at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, or were they afternoon gigs or
Yeah, well, primarily they were the 7 till 10
7 to
kind of
10?
evening gigs. We had a beautiful time in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Chattanooga. I mean, what a classic name that is.
Yeah.
Chattanooga. Really?
Yeah, and the venue was actually a music museum. So they had all these rare guitars. Here's a guitar Dolly Parton played when she recorded this song or that song, and yeah, it's a pretty cool venue.
And did normally would be a 2-set show? Was that how you guys would do it, or just one long concert?
Yeah, well, I think we broke up. We ended up breaking up the shows into 2 sets, just because people have to have to take a break at some point.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, for sure. And you guys did, I think, what, 5 or 6 dates? Is that
Well,
correct?
it was originally 5, but
Yeah.
one of the venues had an issue, and our I think it was our Thursday night show, so we never did make it to Duluth, Georgia.
And what was really cool, I understand, is this was intertwined with Rise Up TV. So it was a TV show behind the scenes, in
Well,
front of the scenes.
that's
Yeah.
the concept. Rise Up TV is the concept behind these tours, and it's to capture musicians on the road, of course, at the best of times, but it also captures them when things do go wrong. For instance, what happens when Duluth went down. Well, we it was very close to Remembrance Day, or as they
Yeah.
call it now, there, Veterans Day.
Veterans Day. Yeah.
And so we offered to perform for a veterans association.
How nice is that? How
Yeah,
nice is that's
it
great.
was en route to the next place. It was Tim's idea, a big-hearted guy, and he just said, "Well, if we're not doing anything today,
Yeah,
why don't we go sing for some veterans?"
that's
And
great. I
they
love that.
really appreciated that.
I think that that's the kicker. Because we're all about supporting our vets. So I really like that. Tell me about, like, what was it like on the bus? What was that like? Because you guys
Well,
slept on the bus, traveled on the bus, everything.
here's the thing: is having been on the bus before, I went and uh, Stephen K. Stephen Kidwell and his lovely wife, they offered that they had a beautiful bus of their own.
Yeah.
And weeks before the tour, they said, "Well, we're going to have our bus along. Why don't you and Nolan stay in Comfort? Because uh, both Steve and Nolan are from the same part of Eastern Oregon,
Okay.
and they had never met each other face to face, but had all the same friends, including um, Carolyn, who'd been a fan of our band for 25 years.
That's great. Wow. Now,
Yeah, so we finally met up, but unfortunately, 2 weeks before the tour, they got T-boned, and their
oh,
bus was totaled.
oh,
Yeah, so to make the tour themselves, they had to retrieve their diesel truck and buy a fifth wheel.
oh,
They showed
wow.
up at a rolling palace. This is just the most amazing thing, and we had such a great time, just because there was that whole connection, Eastern Oregon, Northeast Oregon, Nolan's being from LeGrand and Stephen being from Pendleton, which are like half an hour's drive apart.
Great. That's
Same cowboy culture. So
wonderful.
we got right into that whole thing. Unfortunately, on our way to Danbury, uh, their truck, not being used to hauling a fifth wheel, had some problems, and we had to leave them behind.
Oh, really?
Unfortunately,
Well, that's part of the tour. That's. I mean, that's how it goes, right? When you're doing something live on the run, you got to keep on
but
going.
surprised how supportive just your average Joe on the street was. A person pulled over. Can I help you? Stephen said, "Yeah, I need a diesel mechanic." He says, "Jump in." He came back half an hour later with the news. Yep, we're going to have the tow truck pull up. Nolan says, how can we get where we can rent a vehicle and catch up with the tour?" And the guy says, "Well, the airport. It's a 40-minute drive. Hop in." We threw our guitars, our instruments, and our suitcases in the back of the stranger's car. He drove us 40 minutes to an airport. He had already put in an hour, saving Stephen from the. And then apparently he went back after dropping us off just to check that they were okay.
Wow, that's quite. See, that's great that you guys caught it on film, or hopefully some of them. What we're gonna do?
Well,
Let's take a.
unfortunately, we didn't catch
Oh, I didn't catch that, eh?
the good Samaritan because the bus had already pulled ahead by a few hours. By the time the truck broke down, and we had to leave Stephen and Carolyn at the side of the road with their two beautiful dogs.
Huh. Well, this would be very interesting. Stay tuned. I want to take another quick break, and then we want to come back. I want to talk about, if people want to find out more information about the tour, more
Okay.
information about your career or big records, where could they go? So stay tuned. You're watching Wild Child Records. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Karina Gould, the Member of Parliament for Burlington. I'm very sorry I'm not able to join you this evening due to unforeseen circumstances, but I hope you have a wonderful fundraiser. I really want to give my hats off to Jay and the Disability Channel for coming up with this idea and implementing it and doing such tremendous work to support folks with disabilities and veterans. At the federal government, we are pleased to support the Disability Channel and partner with them, particularly through their unique EI program. Your work tonight, your efforts fundraising are making a big difference in the lives of people here in this area and giving them an opportunity to participate in media and find their calling. So I hope you have a successful evening. Once again, I'm very sorry I'm not able to be there, but big congratulations to Jay and the whole team for your vision, for your leadership, and making this channel a reality. Congratulations and have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Hi, this is Doug Smith, and you're watching the Disability Channel Showcasing Abilities.
Welcome back to Wild Child Records. So we're just discussing here Bruce Coughlan, his wonderful legacy to a Rise Up TV, Big Records, Mark. We had the bus driver on a couple weeks ago. He had some interesting stories. He's out in LA, so it's great. So what I want to do a little bit now, just flip the switch a little bit and let's talk a little bit about your career, Bruce, and tell me some of your inspirations. Tell me some of your secrets, but not too much about your songwriting skills. And then I have a couple follow-ups for you. So tell us about your career and what inspired you, or who are some of your inspirations?
Well, I was always inspired by music. Always loved it. When I hit grade 8, the music teacher at the time told me I had no aptitude. He kicked me out of band, and he kicked me out of choir. So I quit school. 3 months into grade 8, my father told me at that time, this is the mid 70s. He said, house rules are this: you either go to school, you get a job, or there's the door. It works both ways. You're always welcome.
Yeah.
It's no hard feelings, but so I took door number 2. I picked up my guitar and a haversack, and I walked out the door, and I started playing on the street corners of Vancouver in the 1970s.
Wow, busking
And
in the 70s.
it was a wonderful time. Vancouver was a kind town.
Yeah.
This is just at the tail of peace, love, and all this. And I came into that sort of folk culture, folk music culture, hanging around in coffee houses and things like that, and learned a lot of my early craft watching some great folk musicians, 4 and 5 nights a week, getting into drum circles and song circles. And
And you were
for
what, like
kid,
14 or something?
I was
13, 14?
14.
14, eh?
And this was
Wow.
just a bohemian lifestyle. And I'd end up,
Yeah.
I'd be sleeping on a couch one night, on the beach the next.
Wow. You could do that back in the 70s.
You could do that, and people were kind.
Well, just to add to that, my brother in the 70s left home at 16. Same type of scenario with my father, just was a little bit of a rascal. And he decided to leave. But he went to school still. He got a part-time job. He lived on his own. Like, he could do it. You could do it then,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that first winter, I got a job as a nanny.
See, there you go. So
And,
tell me
and,
if
and thanks to the joys of the social media, I stay in touch with these 2 girls
nice. So tell
who
me
are now in their 50s.
few inspirations now, few guitar inspirations. Who do you love?
I like a lot, and mostly acoustic guitar.
Okay.
So being of a folk background and being Canadian, of course, my big influences: Gordon Lightfoot, Stan Rogers, a lot of those, Joni Mitchell,
Yeah.
Neil Young,
Neil
those
Young.
those sort of classic, identifiably Canadian artists.
That's
And
great.
I've always challenged myself to to rise to that level of songwriting. They're
And
very, very amazing songwriters, all of them.
how about your songwriting inspiration? Just daily, everyday life?
Uh, yeah, yeah, pretty much. If there was one thing that that's unique that I do is I write songs about Western Canadian history.
Nice.
See, coming from a Celtic background, being of Irish descent, I always felt that balladry was, the old bardic tradition. Preserve your history in song. So
That's
a lot of things I know about Scottish and Irish history, I've learned through songs. And if it's just a finger pointing to a larger story, that's what it is. So I began writing songs about 25 years ago about British Columbia history and some of the early settlers, the heroes and the villains, and some of the things that came up.
That's great. I love talking to musicians because they're so insightful. They're so connected to their music. Like it's so zen. It's so zen. I love talking. That's why I love seeing where do musicians get their inspiration from. I love talking about their struggles, overcoming their struggles, helping fellow musicians, helping the new ones that are coming into the business. It's such a community. It's such a great community. So I really appreciate you coming on the show today, Bruce, and sharing your story regarding the Legacy Tour and big records and being out in BC. We're going to be seeing you sometime within the next year because the Disability Channel is part of the Invictus Games production and
Oh,
media.
lovely.
So we'll be coming out there, staying there for a couple of weeks. So I might be sleeping on your couch. Who knows?
Maybe. Never know.
That's great, Bruce. I really appreciate being on the show today. What we're going to do now, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back and wrap the show with a couple updates. Stay tuned. You're watching Wild Child Records. I'm Jay Stoyan. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back to the show. Very excited. I want to thank Bruce Coughlan. I want to thank Big Records Legacy Tour, Tim, all the guys. They've been so wonderful. Jenny, Eileen. We're going to be doing some big things with Big Records. This show will be edited. You'll be able to see it on our website. We're going to be sending out the links, and we're going to be doing a lot more work with Big Records. Just to let people know, if you're looking for a new opportunity, do enroll in our employment programs in media. You can go to our website, www.thedisabilitychannel.ca. You're going to be seeing some new and crazy updates on Wild Child Records, along with our veteran show. We're very honored. We're very excited to help the veterans for the Invictus 225 games as media and productions. And we're hopefully going to be setting up our heartfelt campaign on our radio show on Sirius XM so we can showcase our heroes. Again, you're watching Wild Child Records. If you want to check us out, go to www.thedisabilitychannel.ca. We love interacting. We love helping our community. Again, I'm Jay Stoyan. We'll see you next time.